All right, for this lesson, I'm going to work with a couple things. So you can see I've added a um, track with a loop in it. In this case, the loop is green, which indicates it's a MIDI loop. And basically, MIDI's data that triggers sounds, much like a sampler. And if you double click on the track, you'll actually be able to edit this track. So here's my, well, actually, before I do that, let's talk about these two icons right over here. You have a headphone track icon, which actually solos the track. So all you'll hear is the track that's soloed. You can solo multiple tracks too, by the way. So if I play this, you can just hear that track. If I unsolo it, both tracks will play. I have a little voice.
Incredible.
You can hear that later. You can also mute a track over here with this icon. Click on it. You will not hear the track. See how the track grays out over here.
Incredible.
So that's a good way to check your tracks. So in this case, I don't want the incredible playing right now, so I'm just going to mute it. And back up to here, I said this was a loop that I got from my loops. It's piano tango, Argentinian tango. And if I double click, I'll get the edit window. Now you can go pretty in depth with this. I'm not going to go into it with a course, but if I want to just change a single note, so if you listen to the original track, so let's say I want to change the first note of this down an octave. So let's listen to it now. Now I can also shorten this note by holding to the right here. And I can also make it come in later by moving it, so I can move it anywhere I want. I can also shorten the length. So now I'm creating basically a whole different track. And you can get in and manipulate any one of these. You know, you can do this with drum beats. You can do it with anything as long as it's a green audio or a green MIDI loop. So I've got that. So double click to get. So you double click to introduce the edit window, and you double click to get rid of the edit window. Now the next thing I want to talk about is volume and pan. And volume obviously is how loud or how soft the track plays, and pan is panning in the stereo field left to right. And you can automate this in GarageBand. So there's an icon right here. And if you notice, here's our volume button, and here's our pan button, pan position button. You can do this manually, but I'm going to show you how to automate this. So if you click on this downward arrow right here, this is the View Hide Automation. I'm going to open it up, and you have track, pan, and add automation. I'm going to talk about the automation as far as reverb and effects. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the track volume. Now if you notice up here you have a line that runs across the underneath the track. So if I click on it, I'll get a node. And let's say I want this track to fade in and out volume-wise. So I'll just create a couple nodes. And I'm just going to slide these down. I'm going to make huge adjustments so you get the idea of how volume-wise. And volume in MIDI is measured from 0 to 127. GarageBand measures it in dB, but you don't really have to know that much about that. So now when you hear this track playing, it will start out at 0 dB, go down in volume, up in volume, down in volume, up in volume. And watch the fader up here when I hit play. It's moving. Okay, now I can do the same thing for pan position. So when I click on pan, notice that I have a whole new line. And in this case, I can pan it plus 64 and minus 64, left to right, right to left. So I'll make some big pan adjustments here. So when we're playing the track now, obviously 0 is going to be right dead center. All right. Now, once that's done, watch this pan button up here. So I'll rewind. It's kind of hard because I have the volume going. But in that way, you can set up a pan effect. And I'm going to talk about the automation on the next track. So that's pretty much how you would edit and manipulate a uh, loop that's a MIDI loop. You can also do pan and automation for an audio loop. All right, so let's go back to the audio loop now. So now I'm going to mute the piano and unmute the male. I just have a little spoken voice in here. You can hear it.
Incredible, incredible, incredible.
And I looped it, and I'm going to talk about how to make loops a little more seamless in next lecture. So I want to add some reverb to this because it's a pretty dry sound. So I go up to again, show hide track automation. In this case, I'm going to go to add automation down here. And I'm going to select echo and reverb. And I'm going to do echo just to make this. So when you play the track,
incredible,
you won't hear anything. So next thing I want to do is I'm going to add my echo line. So if you notice up here, I've actually instantiated the echo. And it started out at 0, and I'm going to boost it up to 100%, down 100%. So you'll start to hear some echo kicking in and out of this track.
Incredible, 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 incredible.
So I'll get rid of it. That's a lot of echo.
Incredible, 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 incredible.
So in this way you can add automation. I mean, that's a lot of, you wouldn't usually put that much automation on a track, but I wanted to show you how to do that. The other thing you should do is save your work often. So if you go Command S, or you can go up to the File menu and go Save, but Command S. I just get in the habit of going Command S all the time. Programs crash. GarageBand usually doesn't, but it may. I'll go Command S, Save, and there's my week 5 project saved. Now, let's talk about recording live sound. Say you want to record some sound effects. One of my students, we just scored some horror flicks for film scoring, and he recorded a chair dragging across the floor using Logic. Well, you can do the same thing in GarageBand. You don't need a microphone. You have built-in microphones on your in your computer. So first thing you want to do is go up to make sure this is actually work, go up to GarageBand, go up to Preferences. And audio input and output, if you set it to system setting, you'll be fine. You notice you won't have as many as I do, but you have built-in output, built-in input, but this should work. And I'm going to go up to track. In this case, I'm going to go new track, and I'm going to add a real instrument down here. So I'm going to go create, and there's a real instrument, all right? So I can record my voice. If you notice up here, I'm already speaking, and you can see that this is getting a little louder. Once it's in the red, it's distorting, and you're actually recording distortion. So try to keep it not in the red. So I'm going to just record my voice really quickly. Let me mute both of these, and I'll probably get a check 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Highly original track. So you can see that it recorded. And check 1 2 1 2 1 2. So now I have my track recorded. Now I can add effects to this as well. Go up to Add Automation. In this case, I'll put a little echo on it instead of reverb. Or no, I'll put a little reverb instead of echo. And I'll instantiate the track by clicking to the left. There's my button. And I'll put about 50%, close to 50% reverb. Check 1 2 1 2. Don't really like that, maybe a little less. So you can experiment with that. Check 1 2 1 2 1 2 1. Little reverb on there, or you can put some echo, whatever. So that's how you record a sound. Now let's say I want to export this whole lovely. Let's just say I want to export the piano part, because let's use our male voice here. So I'm going to solo this and turn on my timeline, or cycle region it's called in GarageBand, and I'm going to make this loop
incredible, 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 incredible,
So say I want to export this as a loop to use in a game audio, and I'm going to show you how to um, tweak some loops so there's not the jumps and skips and pops and everything later. So all I have to do is go up to File, or I'm sorry, Share, Export Song to Disk. And now it's only going to export this much because I've created that in my timeline. I'm going to save it, excuse me, as an MP3. And we'll use higher quality because it is a voice. So I'm going to export it. And I'm going to call this voice rep. So I'll save it. And it's on my desktop. Now to make sure that your loop actually works, I'm going to mute all the tracks. And I'm just going to drag this onto GarageBand. And I'm going to actually create a new track with a new loop in it. So there's my Incredible. Drag it over to the top. Now I should be hearing this Incredible.
incredible, incredible.
So there, I know that my voice works. You can import any MP3 file into GarageBand. So now, saving this whole thing, again, Apple S, and you saved your work, exported your loop, and learned how to import a loop. So and recorded a voice. So experiment with trying to create your own loops, recording your own voice. This is all going to be tied in together at the end of the lesson.